We got about 3 minutes.
Yes.
We have just a couple of minutes. If anybody wants to make a public comment, please make sure that your form gets turned into Krista, and if you can make sure your cell phones are on silent, please. I think that air is doing more to cool us than to heat it.
Came in a heavy sweater, but
Just in case. And this is 3/4 sleeve number.
no.
No matter what. Thanks.
The time is now 6 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. Approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Reckler, will you please lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up is the approval of the minutes for January 3rd board meeting and January 8th special meeting. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I move we approve them both.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is informational reports. We'll start with Dr. J.
Madam President, members of the board and guests, thank you for being here tonight. I have a few things I want to share. So first of all, we have some basketball going on right now. And it came to my attention that recently Coach Jeffrey Bonner won his 100th game as a varsity coach. So I want to congratulate him. We'll bring him back for another visit. We just found out recently. And Amanda Baca won her 200th game as a varsity coach. So just want to recognize both of them for their great work. We have two wonderful coaches, and well, we get 2 wins tonight. So yeah, if you want to give it up for those two, that'd be great. Our sports season is moving fast. We had wrestling yesterday, the second home wrestling duel, and Falcons did really well. It was great to see them at home and getting some pins. We also had soccer last night. We had boys and girls senior night, so that was awesome to see on the new field and pay some tribute to our seniors. Wrestling already did their senior night earlier in the year. Like I said, we have basketball tonight against Northwest Christian. So sports are moving along really nicely, and we're having a lot of success. We're currently working, taking our Portrait of a Graduate to another level. So the staff and I are working on putting together a book that will be able to be printed and electronic for prospective parents, for current parents, that will outline how we teach our 6 skills at each grade level, starting in pre-K all the way to 12th grade, culminating with our new senior internship program with the Chamber of Commerce. So I think when this is done, We're projecting around late March, April that it'll be finished. It will be a real nice vision for Fountain Hills students in our district. So that's moving along nicely. Recently, I met with the principals to do what we call a data dig, where we looked at all of our AZ, AASA, and ACT data. But we looked at that and started to look at benchmarks and how our principals can be looking through that and looking for opportunities to grow their schools, increase student achievement, and raise letter grades. So we spent a day doing that. We have benchmark number 2 coming up in the next over the next 2 weeks, and we're excited to see where we're at with that and make some adjustments as we come into the testing season in April. On the building side of things, the Fountain Hills High School marquee is complete, so hopefully you saw it when you drove in today. I think it looks beautiful. We're still figuring out a lot of how to use it. There's a lot of features with it, but it looks great, and we're very, very happy with that. We can now do that from home if we need to, so Mr. Hartman forgets an announcement, you can wake up early and get that done. So, and he got trained today, so he's an expert on it. Playground 2 at McDowell Mountain is now open. It opened today, so we have now 2 out of the 3 pieces. Shade is also coming around spring break, so excited about that. The new planetarium dome will be installed next week on January 22nd, and then there will be a training after that of how to use it. And then I will train the staff on how to use that, and we're getting closer. February 7th, I believe, is the date that the library will be finished. We also have our large new television being installed next week. So I don't know of any other school that has this, but it's a new 105-inch touchscreen television that was donated by the Vern C. Johnson Family Foundation, and it'll be installed next week, and 40 students will be able to interact with it at one time. So an entire class will be able to interact with it at one time. And that'll be great to see our kids in there working math problems and doing different things. I did DCS training for all staff at our last early release Wednesday, and it was good refresher for a lot of people to understand how that works. And we got a new document that Chris put together and Dave, our attorney, reviewed, and we finalized that and sent that out to staff so they have something that they can reflect back on if they have any questions. We attended the Safeway remodel opening, which I thought we were playing when they walked in, but it was a little bit bigger than that. We got $17,000 from Safeway, which was awesome. They also supported our staff picnic last year. They gave us $1,000 to pay for food for the staff picnic. The staff picnic was free last year. We're hoping to be free again this year, thanks to Rotary, Kiwanis, and Safeway. So it was great to get big checks, and we have them on display in the offices. And then lastly, we have a book that'll be going on display from the Literary Committee. The title is Tuesdays with Maury, and it will be available in the district office. Just ask for Krista, and she'll get you access to it. So with that, I conclude my comments.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments for Dr. Jane? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to district celebrations. First up will be McDowell Mountain and the Little Falcon Preschool, so I guess it's Little Falcons this month.
Good evening, Madam President and board members. Ms. Matus is joining me. We have nominated a student from her classroom, and so would you like to
you want me to read
the honors?
Okay, my student is, or our student is Eli Herring. Eli has made tremendous growth in all areas this year. Eli started our program as a shy, introverted, tearful little boy and has blossomed into the happiest, talkative, outgoing child with a passion for all things gingerbread man. Eli is always friendly and always smiling. He is respectful to his teachers and his peers. Eli follows all the rules and is a good friend to all. He truly represents what we do and why we do it. Eli certainly deserves to be Falcon of the Month.
Good job.
Do we have someone to take pictures?
I
Good job, Eli. So tonight I am thrilled to recognize Rebecca Singer as our Falcon of the Month. Rebecca comes to school every day, and she has the Little Falcon staff and students laughing with her strong sense of humor. Everyone absolutely adores and appreciates Rebecca. From the minute she walks in the door, she has everyone laughing and smiling. She is excellent at bringing the team together to celebrate special occasions. She is naturally a warm and welcoming person who knows her students and those tricks that makes them feel comfortable. Thank you, Rebecca, for your hard work and dedication to Little Falcons Preschool.
Take it at a different angle.
Okay, next up is Ms. Reichler with Fountain Hills Middle School.
Hi there. So I am happy and proud to announce the Falcon of the Month. Our student is Megan Bird, and Megan is one of my former students, so I'm so excited about this. Many of them are, actually. Anyway, Megan is a fantastic student. She is cooperative in class with both teachers and her peers. She can be seated near any student in the class, and those around her are happy to have her on their team. Megan is quick to understand new concepts, is hardworking, and completes all of her assignments. She is quiet and creative, and it's apparent the work she turns in is well thought out and quality. Education is important to Megan, and she's a great advocate for herself when she needs additional clarification. She is kind and responsible, Fountain Hills Middle School student, and she's truly a gem, and we love her. So come on up, Megan. That's not you. That's you. And our staff that we chose for Falcon of the Month is Louise Runkle. And Louise is just awesome every single day. Fountain Hills Middle School students and staff are very fortunate to have Louise as one of our paraprofessionals. She has a great rapport with all students, especially the ones she works with one-on-one. Louise demonstrates a great amount of compassion towards students who are less fortunate and ones who need a little extra TLC. Students feel at ease with Ms. Runkle and know she is there to support all of their academic and social needs. Teachers look forward to and appreciate her assistance in the classroom. She is a stable force and a reliable employee, and we thank Ms. Runkle for contributing so much to Fountain Hills Middle School. Come on up.
And now Mr. Hartman with the high school.
Happy 2024, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Schroeder, for the large print. Helps me stay in denial. I'm thrilled to recognize this teacher, an exemplary colleague and staff member at our school. In addition to being a phenomenal math teacher for multiple grade levels, this teacher's role at as the high school hospitality committee chair has been truly outstanding. She ensures that teachers and staff feel appreciated and recognized regularly, exemplified by her meticulous organization of holiday activities such as Secret Santa event and the entire staff appreciation lunch. These events were not only well attended, but also created a wonderful sense of unity and appreciation among our staff. This teacher's dedication, organizational skills, and genuine concern for the well-being of others make her an invaluable asset to our team. Her passion for education and commitment to fostering a positive and supportive community makes her a truly outstanding colleague, and we are fortunate to have her as part of our school family. Allison Meekum. Okay, this student takes great pride in achieving honor roll status, showcasing his dedication to academic excellence. His commitment extends beyond the classroom, evident in his active participation in both wrestling and football. As a student athlete, he not only excels academically, but also demonstrates exceptional skills and sportsmanship on and off the field. Beyond his individual accomplishments, he extends his impact by contributing to the Student Advisory Committee, showcasing his leadership qualities and commitment to improving the student experience. The student's well-rounded involvement reflects not only his personal achievements, but also his dedication to contributing positively to the broader school community. Nate Barnard.
Good job, Nate.
And next up, we have the district office / transportation staff.
Yes, thank you. We have two today. So we have one from December that we're a little behind on, but we want to recognize. And that is Christy Fuda. So Christy, we are, oh, she didn't know. Okay. All right.
I've been keeping this a secret for a really long time. It's been really hard on me. She thinks she's here to present payroll and benefits to you guys. So she's very nervous about it, and so Christy is our payroll HR specialist. She consistently brings positive energy to our team, making the office a more enjoyable place for everyone. She has a remarkable ability to uplift the spirits of those around her, turning even the most challenging days, which I have a lot of, into opportunities for camaraderie and collaboration. In addition to her infectious enthusiasm, Christy has shown remarkable dedication to Fountain Hills, consistently delivering high-quality results. She is a true team player who goes above and beyond to ensure the success of our collective efforts. I could not do my job successfully without her.
Right, our Falcon of the Month for this month comes to us. He's here today. That is Cecilio Dominguez, and Juan is going to speak on behalf of the great work that Cecilio has done.
Hi, how you guys doing? It's my first time being up here, so Cecilio has been with me and with the Fountain Hills School District since the beginning of basically starting our department. He has been a great asset and my right-hand guy, and I'm really honored to give him this award because every time I put him to do something around the district, you could tell he was there. He makes, he makes it look like new. Basically, he makes dirt look good, And every time he's always, reminding us, because we always eat lunch together. He's a brother of my community and my church, and so is Luis, that's over there too. And we always do, he always reminds us to do our blessing, before our meal. So it's a blessing for me to have him here and these brothers that come from my church. So for Cecilio, I'm really happy, and I hope that he's with us for many, many years.
Yes. We have one more recognition tonight, and this is a community recognition. From time to time, people in the community step up and go above and beyond, and we like to recognize them for all their work. I am so happy tonight to recognize Craig Rudolphi. Craig, you want to come up here first and be recognized? So Craig is, yes, let's give it up for Craig. Craig has an extensive background in finance. He's worked for the town of Fountain Hills. He's worked for a whole career doing all kinds of financial work. And I met him a few months ago, and he offered his services to come in and volunteer. And I called him and took him up on that. And so Craig has come in, and he's been working with our finance team to tighten up procedures and policies, to create new procedures that have not existed, so that there's a document, there's something we can hand to people and say, this is how we do this in Fountain Hills. And so he's been a great asset to Alicia and to our finance team, and is doing all this just because he loves his community and loves our school district. So please give it up for Craig.
Congratulations to all the students and faculty and Mr. Rudolphi for your awards. We thank you for everything that all of you put into our district. If you are a student, you are more than welcome to leave, because I'm sure you all have homework and don't want to listen to our boring meeting, but you're welcome to stay if you do. Krista, do we have any public comments? Call to the public. This is the time for the public to comment. Time limits may be allocated on public comment at the discretion of the board president for the board to efficiently complete its business. The board reserves the right to prohibit any comments made in a discourteous or threatening manner. Complaints about specific individuals, students, or personnel are discouraged. Personnel issues should be directed to the appropriate staff member or administrator per district policy. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38-431.01H, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. Our board has consistently offered 3 minutes for each person with public comment, so we will still adhere to that. And we have one public comment from Mike Motra.
Thank you, President Reed. I do respectfully ask, because I do have correspondence to and from the district, if I could be given an extra 30 seconds if needed, but I may not need that. Okay. Thank you. At the January 3rd board meeting, a targeted motion was made to not approve my baseball contract. I spoke with Dr. J on January 4th and told I would no longer be able to coach the middle school baseball team. January 4th, I was told I could not coach for a baseball team that the season had begun on November 5th of 2023, approximately 58 days earlier. Due to time, I will not read the definition of employee according to Black law, but let me define in part for you the word employee. performing or executing the services hired for, and receiving pay. 58 days, 10 practices, 4 games, and yes, compensation. Doing the job I was hired to do. The contract was already in effect. Administration admitted the job was already being done, and the board knew this. This was not a denial of a contract. This was a termination, a wrongful termination, and poorly executed at that. So how does the board and admin cover their tracks? At the January 8th meeting, the board states that I resigned as middle school coach. Did anyone actually read any correspondence regarding any resignation? Besides Kevin. Let me read it to you. Disappointing and unexpected circumstances have forced me to submit my resignation from my position as elementary school aide, effective immediately. Elementary school aide. Did not resign from middle school baseball coach, no mention made of it, no other correspondence regarding that. How does the board and the admin continue to cover their tracks regarding this fictitious resignation? I receive an email at home, that the board approved my fictitious resignation at the meeting on January 3rd, the same date that the motion was made. I could dissect this for 20 minutes. Obviously, I can't and I won't, but I'll let you think about that, okay? I could only assume that this was to cover tracks because you knew you were wrong, you knew the job was already being done, and the only way to say this is that we can't correct this action because, well, Mike resigned the night of the motion. You know that's untrue. I have a letter showing that. January 3rd is this fictitious resignation that this was approved. Not only was this board negligent in this entire motion and wrongful termination, the comment made by the board at the January 8th meeting that I had resigned, which I have already shown was fictitious, was picked up by the press on January 11th. Already dealing with an emotional state in which my livelihood was wrongly taken away, I now had to deal and explain to parents and players based off the article that was published, I did not resign. I am short on time, so again, I will not define tonight defamation by libel. I will also like to say, because of this rolling log that you committed, I did resign as my position at elementary school. One of probably 10 to 11 people that have been there for 5 years that know every single student. So now you've created a ghost skeleton crew over there to put more pressure on the teachers that are there.
That's 3:30, Mike.
Can I just conclude? I got one conclusion, 3 lines. I conclude with this. It is strongly encouraged by my legal representation that I be reinstated as middle school coach with full season pay and with the agreement and acknowledgement from me that Coach Kyle finished the season. Do your job and follow up.
Okay, next up is the personnel action. Do I have any questions or comments for the personnel action?
Can I ask a question about that public comment?
Depends.
Can I motion that we go into executive session to discuss that comment, please?
He would have to be included.
My question is just, does Kane have follow-up for that to direct this person to take a proper process, like maybe ask for a hearing? Is that something that we will do and that you can take care of? Okay, thank you.
And may the board receive the correspondence that he mentioned, please?
Thank you.
Okay, personnel action. Do I have, are there any questions or comments?
The additional hours at the middle school, is that for the coaching? Or is that separate?
I can explain.
Go ahead.
That is for working a score clock or basketball game. Evelyn is struggling to find people to work events. We have, sometimes we have volunteers. Ms. Barnard volunteered, Dr. Barnard volunteered yesterday for wrestling. I volunteered for wrestling. We do get some of that, but we do have positions available for people to work if they want to do that. And so those are for running the score clock at basketball games.
Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I move that we approve the personnel report as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a Madison second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. She did. She actually seconded it, and then Lillian said it, but Madison did first. Thank you. Accounts payable vouchers from the January 3rd, 2024 meeting. These were presented at our last meeting. We asked for further information, and it has now been presented. Are there questions or comments regarding these vouchers?
I just had a couple questions about with the WEX cards, and there was a Voyager Fleet Systems charge as well. We're paying WEX, I thought WEX took the place of Voyager.
It is my understanding that while our WEX card was on hold, he was using the Voyager card. So now that that's been complete, I'm talking to John about stopping Voyager.
Okay. And then the monthly card charge fee is a fee for the cards assigned to the drivers. As I understand, we have 23 gas cards out, or 30?
That's my understanding too. We are trying to get a hold of WEX. John's the only one they'll talk to in regards to that.
Okay.
Why? Why?
He's the primary person on the account.
Okay, we should never have just one person, so please make sure that gets corrected.
I tried to add an additional primary and they won't allow me. It's only one. So
Okay, Dr. J, can you please follow up with
Sure.
them, because that's not appropriate?
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you.
Are there any questions or comments regarding the vouchers?
Thanks for all the information. There was quite a bit on there.
Hearing none, I motion that we approve the payable vouchers from January 3rd, 2024.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I have 3-1. Madison is nay. Also, just on the vouchers, on your weekly voucher file that is in your Google Docs, you will now have the check listings in there along within your board packet. That way, on a weekly basis, you can look at the check listing compared to that voucher.
Thank
So
you.
we don't
Thank
have
you.
the problem again. And it's not so, like, over the weekend, so.
Yeah.
Next up is the job description for the Director of Transportation. Dr. J, do you have any further information?
Madam President, I do not at this time, but we'll do our best to answer any questions you have.
Okay. Are there any questions regarding the Director of Transportation position?
I just had a quick question about the 2 preferred, or the 3 preferred certificates. Do we offer any help with things like that? Should they have the other qualifications?
We typically, those are things you look for in hiring. I know that John has been able to work with employees to get additional certificates, and I believe, we'll consult with our counsel, make sure it's okay for us to assist in that, but if we can, we would, yes.
Yeah, or if there's any way that we can get them some kind of discounted rate since they're coming to a public school or anything like that.
Yeah, we always look for those opportunities. We just want to make sure anytime we do something like that, that it's been vetted by the attorney.
I appreciate you noting that the funding code would be provided once the Director of Finance returned. Do we have that funding code now?
We'll have it to Krista first thing in the morning. I was working with the auditors today.
Are there any other questions? Okay. Do I have a motion?
I motion that we table the job description, Director of Transportation, until we receive the funding code.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
It's 3-1. Next up is the Warehouse and Facilities Coordinator.
Again, nothing to add. If you have any questions.
Thank you. Anybody have questions or comments? Okay, again, we don't have the funding code, so I'm going to motion that we table this as well. We
Second.
I have a motion, and Ashton Madison was the second on that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Unfortunately, without all the information, the board's just not going to approve these things.
Sorry, thank you for.
Okay, next up is information discussion items. Purchases over 100,000. This is for the middle school gym. Dr. Jake?
Yes, Madam President, members of the board and guests. So we were awarded a grant last year that we wrote and were approved for. And it's for $97,000 to replace the gym floor in the small gym of the middle school, high school campus. And that gym has really become the middle school gym. Whenever possible, the middle school play in the high school gym, but if there's a conflict, we want it to be up to the standards to be able to participate and play in there. The original gym floor goes back to probably around 2002. That floor that's in there, and I believe it is rolled on rubber over linoleum. So it is really past its use, and it was time to do something different. So with the grant, we do have to put in a percentage of that, which is in your packet there, to meet the grant requirements. We had a team of middle school employees work on this along with our athletic director. So Evelyn got a group together, pretty much led by Amanda Baca and Tabby Schultz. And they had 3 different companies come out and bid the work. You have a copy of all 3 bids. And with that, I wanted to bring it to you for you guys to decide which one you wanted to approve. So I'm here to answer any questions that you have.
I want to thank everyone that put the effort into getting 3 bids. That's something that I've been wanting to see, and so I really appreciate that effort. I did notice that one was quite a bit different, like quite a bit less. Is there a reason that that one was less, or are they just?
Nothing that caught the eye of the committee. They met with all 3 groups, and that one company came in a little bit less than the others. So yeah.
Are we feeling like that we need to choose one of the others, or are we okay with the one that's the least amount?
To me, they all look like gym floor companies, so. I didn't get anything that stood out from the committee. They had one that they preferred. I will say that there's additional work that needs to be done in that gym. We're gonna have to replace the hoops in there. So I would say that any savings from that, not to, again, just whichever route we go, we'll find the funding to take care of that because it has to be done. But there is some work that needs to be done with the hoops to center them and to add a couple of additional hoops. The basketball coaches and have shared, and I know this from experience as well, is it's hard to have a shoot around in that gym with only 2 hoops. So they're talking about adding 2 additional on one of the side walls so that at least they have 4. And they could have groups of 3 shooting at a time, which is pretty normal in a basketball practice or warm-up.
And that stuff is not included in this?
That is not, that is
you're looking
just
at
the
later?
floor, yes, to get the floor updated, so. And there's a little bit of work that needs to be done as far as handicap access and some of the demo work, but all that is involved. It includes, my understanding of the committees included the paint work and a logo as well.
Have any of these companies been used before? Do you know?
Fountain Hills has not updated a gym floor in a long time. I'd say the last new one would have been 2002 when the middle school opens. It has replaced, but I think that was done under warranty, and that was due to just the way the building sits with water and the way the water comes into the building and hard rain. So and now that's McDowell Mountain, so keep perspective on which building I'm talking about. So no, I don't think we've had any work done any recent time that puts one above the other.
Go ahead.
I have a couple of questions. I appreciate, again, the diligence that the committee did in bringing us 3 quotes. Was there a specific one that they recommended?
No, the only specific they gave me was there's one bid that I had a question of Sun Country floors, and with 2 different numbers, so I want to make sure what that was, and they're different qualities of the floor. So if that vendor is selected, they would want I believe it's the Focus, the 156 number was the one that they had requested. I'm gonna double check here. From Coach Baca, yes, the 156 one is the one that they would want, so the Focus style, I guess, her brand. But that's the only insight they gave, and that's why we're bringing it to you. We just felt that, you know, this is a large purchase, and we got you the 3 bids, so we wanted to see if you want us to bring it back and come back, have them present. And those are all options. It's, you know, we're just trying to get this completed. We've had this for 6 months maybe, so we want to get it done in a timely fashion. And we also want to try to get some work done maybe over spring break. But again, whatever you're asking us to do, we'll do. We'll come back if you'd like us to.
So the second question I have, again, on the funding source, do you know what that funding source is at this point?
It will come out of capital.
Okay. And then, how long is this grant approved for?
We'll ask our grants management.
We have a year to
A year.
complete.
And how long have we had it?
In front of you is the
June
resolution,
23rd.
and so, or the funding letter is also there too. I don't know.
It was summer. I would say
Okay,
summer.
so we're already 6 months in,
Yeah.
so we need to, okay.
Given that they want the Sun Country 4s and that is the highest cost
No,
one,
they said just, there's 2 prices on that one.
they,
So if you
oh,
pick
out
Sun
of those
Country,
two
they would
with
want
this,
that
okay,
one.
so they don't they don't
They did not
necessarily
give
feel
a
that one's
specific
better,
one,
okay.
no. And I do want it noted that there is an employee who is connected to one of those companies, and we did put that in the board packet. We checked with multiple, our attorney, our finance department. I talked to Heinfield and Meach, our auditors, about it. Since the board is making that decision, they would need to do a conflict of interest. Since they're not the decision maker in the process, they said it would not be a violation. So I just want to be transparent and let you know that that is part of one of those 3.
One thing that I would maybe suggest just giving a try is letting these other 2 companies know that we have this lower number and seeing if either of them would be flexible and come down a little bit in order to get the work. Because if there is something that it would or encourage us to go with one of these companies, you know, we could maybe get them to meet us in the middle on that price.
I would actually like to see an itemized breakdown like Continental did. I'm really surprised that the other 2 companies just gave a number. Dealing with many vendors in my own personal business, I would never accept that because I want to know what the breakdown is. So that's, I would ask Sports Services and Sun Country if they're willing to give a breakdown so that we can compare apples to apples. And if not, then I like the Continental, who happens to be the lowest, gave a breakdown.
Okay.
So that, I don't like an all-inclusive number because it doesn't usually fare well for the person getting the work done.
So we'll bring it back to the committee. They'll have them come out, and we'll just want to share the reason you're getting this now. We talked about, we started this in June. It's because it's taken that long to get through bids. So I just want you to know they've been working hard on this. I've asked them multiple times, where are we at? And they just, people are busy and it's slow. So it may be
Well, I would give them a deadline.
Okay.
What
meeting would you like us to bring it back to?
I would like it to come back at the February 7th meeting,
Okay.
if possible.
Sure.
Because, if they should be able to give a breakdown pretty easily.
Okay.
And if they
Yeah.
can't, then,
Make
then
a
our
decision.
job's not that important.
Right.
So,
Can that still come back on February 7th as an action item though? So
It can.
we make a decision?
It can. Just please, if we do get anything, please make sure the board receives it so that we can look it over. But again, if they don't want to give that time, then,
That encourages us going with the concept.
then our job's not that important. So
All right, sounds good.
I don't have much grace for that. Okay. And if you have any other questions prior to the February 7th board packet that you think of regarding this that could help facilitate getting the information quicker, if you have questions, please go ahead and submit those so that we can get that and kind of get going on this since we are on a deadline. Next up is the Fort McDowell representative. This was something that the board voted on back in 2022. We had been working with Fort McDowell. It had, years ago, that it was custom, or I don't know what you call it, best practice, that we actually had a representative from Fort McDowell who participated in the board meetings. They could sit up on the dais. We'll have to all be a little squishier. They would not participate in voting. They would also not participate in any executive sessions, but they would be here to offer their perspective on our district and collaborate just like we do. So the board had already voted to do this, so it doesn't need to go for a revote. I just wanted to bring this up in the public meeting so that if everyone was aware. Over the past year, Fort McDowell has collaborated, and they have a candidate now that they would like to come and sit on the board with us. Their name is?
Yes. So it is Councilmember Albert Nelson, who has been just someone who's been very good to the district over the years. He's offered his expertise on multiple occasions where we've gone out to learn more about the Fort McDowell community. He's done some trainings here, and he's a very well-respected member of the community and the tribal council. So we're excited, beyond excited, for the opportunity for Albert to join us.
Yes, so,
I just have a question.
sure.
So he was picked by the council, so that's good. Do we still have a tribal meeting on, I have it down for February 12th?
No.
A joint meeting?
We do not.
Okay. Thank you.
But this is a way for us to collaborate a little easier with Fort McDowell.
Oh,
You know, Fort McDowell students make up about 25 to 30% of our student population. So I think it's really important to include them in our conversations. So Albert is ready to start on at our February 7th meeting, which hopefully we will also have our new board member at that time. An interview got postponed until next week, so we are a little more delayed on the board member. Hopefully by the end of January, still we'll have someone. But if any, I just wanted to bring it to the board if anyone has any questions or comments.
It's great.
I do have one question.
Sure.
So I noticed that it does state that it needed to be posted for 4 consecutive weeks, no less than. So I just want to make sure that we did post that notice and we followed what it says in the 3rd paragraph under notice, or the 1st paragraph under notice and selection.
Is that us posting it?
It's FHUSD and Fort McDowell will provide notice of an open representative position in the respective governing bodies' standard distribution channels. Where applicable, notice will be distributed weekly for no less than 4 consecutive weeks. Notice must include a deadline for Fort McDowell tribal members to submit their interest to serve as representative.
I would have to reach out to Dr. Corlett and see how they handled it. The document was given to her upon approval from the board. We've actually been working on it since then, and that was November 2022.
Correct.
It just says that it would be posted on, for example, the website, our Falcon Focus, Fort McDowell website, email communications, and the Times. So I'm excited to have them join, but I want to make sure that we followed the procedure outlined just because it was so long ago.
I have to look at that, I don't know.
Okay,
So, but I will.
thank you.
Thank you.
And if it hasn't, then we will need to go ahead and get that posted. And then if Albert's still that candidate, then it would be the end of February.
Because in the 2nd paragraph there, it says that there's a deadline indicating their interest. So again, it might have happened before we got on the board, I don't know.
It took them almost a year to come up with a candidate, so.
But then it's past, like, do we need to readjust?
To readjust,
A deadline.
so. I don't think they were clamoring at the door to.
Right. I don't blame them.
I want to make a quick comment about it because I think that this is great. I think anytime we have the opportunity to reach out into our community, our communities that we serve, and bring people in and get them involved, we see the way that it changes the atmosphere because more of our community members are hands-on in our schools. And when you get that relationship, you can't help but support from both sides. You feel appreciated from both sides and you feel invested from both sides. And so I think this will be really great for our students on both sides of this.
I agree.
So can I share really fast too that I am still working on trying to get a joint meeting schedule. I've been having some struggles on my, but what happened was they just elected a new council. So Dr. Corlett is now working with those new people to try to get something on the calendar. So we are still actively trying to get that scheduled.
Okay, thank you. I think having the Fort McDowell representative will be very helpful to help to mitigate that.
Agreed,
So,
agreed.
next up is our continued discussion regarding the pickleball and a monthly fee. We had discussed at a previous meeting with pickleball that they would like to extend their current agreement with us, and they want to do some additions to the pickleball courts. At that time, we consulted with our attorney regarding, is it even legal for us to be renting the facility to pickleball, and it is, but again, it goes back to the fair market value, that just like we've encountered with Four Peaks, with the old Four Peaks building, that it has to be a fair market value, and currently, pickleball has given anywhere from, I think, $500 to $1,000 a year, which was not deemed fair market value. So you were at your board seat, you were given a facilities list, which is really small, and I'm old, so.
Very difficult.
So on that little tiny list, there's a pickleball court on there. Somewhere.
It's in
the
the
middle one,
middle, but
Okay.
for
Oh, there, young people can find it.
for clarification,
Hard to say.
are we talking both east and west, or just both?
I believe it would be either.
Like
If you wanted to
whichever one they
rent,
went.
yes, if you wanted to rent one of them.
And do they currently have the east side locked as well?
My understanding is yes. We rarely hear from that side, the high school side. PE has really no interest in using it, so they've never really been out there. And they're, a little bit further off campus, and then, they're still in the same parking lot, but they're outside the gate. So, I haven't had any concerns. Any concerns that's come to me has been in general, that they're locked from community members, but not specific to one side.
Right. And as discussed at the last meeting, where pickleball was in attendance, the original agreement was agreed upon based on the fact that the courts would not be locked and there was time for the public. They have now said that based on their nonprofit that they started, they do lock the courts. They are not willing to unlock the courts to allow any other people to use the courts. And so that, again, gives us even more reason that we have to charge a fair market value if they're going to keep the courts 24/7. So
I was gonna ask about that because, did we look at another option of having a scheduling accommodation? They just,
They said that there's been too much vandalism and they put too much money into the courts, that they're not willing to unlock them and let the public use them.
Well, my thought would be that it would be more, we would have the keys since it's our thing that they're renting, and then whoever rents it would be responsible for it during that time, and it would be a first come, first serve. If the pickleball group wants to have it for the full time, we're talking about this is what we would need to, or what would we be needing to raise it to for the fair market value?
So we would need to come up with a fee, obviously. I mean, I think, where are your young eyes?
Well, are they so they would be considered, are they nonprofit, so they're class 2, or they are for profit?
They are,
For profit.
Okay.
well,
That they
they
said
have
they
a
claimed it.
nonprofit.
Okay,
So
yeah.
they have an organization that I think they're a 501,
But I don't believe they're a C.
they're not a C3.
They're a C7, I think she said.
Something like
C7.
that. So nonetheless,
But, so they would be trying to schedule as a class 2, so we would need to raise our class 2 rate up high enough that we're getting a fair market value.
Well, can I add to that?
Yeah,
Since I
go
spoke to Dave.
Okay.
So, fair market, gray area, you can give me a number. So, it really comes down to what is, what does this board feel is a fair amount of money for someone to have access to a school property piece exclusively? So that's the question. There's no number, there's no formula that Dave shared with me. But 500 or 1,000 a year, we've all, over the years, we talked about that, and I don't believe that falls into fair. So that's why we're here tonight.
Have we looked at what it would cost to rent another pickleball field somewhere else, and just so that we know kind of what the going rate is?
I think it's going to be hard because the going rate is always going to be for an hour or for 2 hours, right? And so outside facilities are always going to be cheaper than indoor facilities due to air conditioning and kind of janitorial service, things like that. So it's a really unique situation because there's really no formula for it. So it's really what you believe you could say to the community is, we believe that we're getting a fair value of donation back or fees back to the district to give this group unlimited access to.
And it's exclusive access, including
That's
school,
what they want.
the school
No,
students?
the schools have
or-
access.
Okay,
Right.
They've been
And-
very good about that.
okay.
And the other thing we have to remember is they've put
A lot of
a
money
lot of
into
money
it.
into the courts, into both courts. So they've made them much more visually pleasing. They've put in really nice lighting. So, I think we do need to take that into consideration of all the money that they've put in
Yes,
as well.
absolutely.
To upgrade them, that if they ever chose to not be there, some of it they can take with them, but, I mean, you can't pick up a whole pickleball court and take it with you, so.
Although if we do give them exclusive access, in the end, anyone
One, they have to join, and then two, there's not openings.
Yeah,
Right,
right now there's like a waiting list.
There's a waiting
correct?
list, right. So I think they did open it and add a few more members, but for the most part, it's closed. So now, when this discussion first started a while ago, and we were getting complaints from community members, the courts over at Four Peaks were not there at the old Four Peaks building, but the town now has put in pickleball courts over there. So there are other options for the community to play that they could play over there. And I don't know if the town rents those, but just like the baseball fields at Golden Eagle, if you want to play on the baseball field, you have to pay the town a fee now, that they're not just open to the public anymore, so. So, yeah, so.
When are we trying to have a decision on this by?
Pickleball would like a decision soon, because if they want to do if we approve the additional upgrades, they want to get started on that. They're in their busy season right now, but that'll be coming to an end by the end of spring, and I'm sure that they would like to get it done before the heat of the summer.
And I'll just share, when we moved back to that site as a middle school, they were very accommodating, and they did meet with me on several occasions, and we've had zero issues with having pickleball so close to the middle school campus. It has been a good relationship. Our PE teachers can use that as needed. I just, it's a little more unique than it once was. Originally basketball courts, so now that they're pickleball, if you're not playing pickleball in there, it's a little bit, it's not as useful as it once was. They have been very supportive of the school as far as working with us and ensuring that we have a good working relationship. I just wanted you to know that.
That's good. Do you have questions?
I do, I have a couple. Do we have a list of the upgrades that pickleball has done through the years and the costs of those upgrades? Because depending on that, I feel like that's also determining that fair market value of expenses.
It definitely could be. What would be remaining if they ever left? Whatever upgrades they do that are permanent would come back to the district, and Dave did share that was something you could factor in. Okay. We can ask Jan for a copy of all their upgrades. They have, I'm sure they have very valuable records and get that to us. So Krista, you could reach out, we can get you a copy of that.
And then including with those records, what they would be leaving if they ever chose to no longer have it.
Just be the, I've asked that question of them. I believe it would just be the new asphalt and the new fenced court they added around 2019, 2020. But I think all the equipment, lights, everything, most of that, I know some of the lights would stay, but
So the lights also would go.
I don't know.
Well, did they take down lights that we had? Because then that would be an issue too. But is there a way to maybe see the value added to the district property as a
Yes.
figure? Okay.
Yeah.
And then can we also get a copy of the current agreement that we have with them?
Yes.
Or that's in place?
I think
We
we
did.
had that.
We had that, okay.
But you can resend it, please.
Okay, thank you.
And another question I had was if the district is maintaining these courts, what the cost would be or what we've paid in the past to maintain them versus maybe what we're paying now. So I would assume that we're paying nothing to maintain the courts
Correct.
now.
And
So what-
prior to that, they were beat-up basketball courts, so
I'd say
we did not maintain
Probably no
anything
main- no
then either.
maintenance
So
was-
they were essentially in high sore until pickleball.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, so we'll go ahead and get more information. This will not be an action item, Krista, in February, but if pickleball can get us that as soon as possible, it will help facilitate.
May I ask one more?
Yes, go ahead.
Can we clarify their entity status if they are indeed a true nonprofit versus a,
For business.
yeah, for business, please? Thank you, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay. Next up is the status review from the Auditor General. In your board packet was the list from Alicia, but you should have also gotten in your email, and I think it's in the board packet as well, the updated status from the Auditor General, what's been corrected, what has not been corrected, and what was in the process of being corrected. So we're just going to go through these and talk about them again.
Madam President, members of the board, yes, Alicia has a presentation she's going to go through with you, outlining where we're at in regard to the
Good evening, President Reed, Governing Board. We are going to discuss the audit status review today from the corrective action plan that was submitted. We did, just a few notes about it. There were 52 audit findings across 14 categories. We had 90 days once we received the original corrective action plan to set up processes and test for compliance. The Auditor General did test, once we submitted our documentation, the Auditor General came out, tested what our processes were, and that occurred the week after fall break. So we had 27 corrections to our audit findings and then 10 partial corrective. We're going to go over today the partially corrected and the not corrected. So there is 3 findings or 2 findings in accounting records. This is due to transaction codings in accordance with USFR. The findings that were incorrect due to an audit coding for object codes, but those have been corrected since, and journal entries have been done to complete them. They will not show up on our audit for fiscal year 24. And then the third one was in regards to a payment that was received from the town of Fountain Hills, and the question was whether it was truly meant for us or not. After discussing with the county, it is actually our payment, and it came from Prop 202, which is in regards to revenues from, I want to say the gambling outlets from the
From the Fort McDowell.
correct.
And that is the $30,720.
Correct. Next, we have cash and revenue. So there were two findings that were related to reconciliations. So in the past, they weren't actually doing reconciliations. We are doing them now. The finding was that the preparer was not signing the completion. So we have corrected that, and that again will not be a finding on the next audit. Expenditures. Sorry.
Hold on.
Sure.
Before we move on to each category, I'd like to see if there are questions, because I'd like to back up to the accounting records.
Sure.
Where you said that the payment was actually meant for us. So it says that the district recorded the $30,720 of revenue in Fund 020 instructional improvement. It seemed to be intended for the town of Fountain Hills. It was not intended for the town of Fountain Hills, but
Correct.
is it in the correct code of Fund 020?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then, are there any questions regarding the cash and revenue explanation? Okay, go ahead.
Next are expenditures. Although the district is no longer paying for employees from student activities funds, which is Fund 850, it does accept site council signatures during breaks. This became an issue when we prepaid for some competitions in summer to avoid the rush once school started. With consultation from the auditors, they do not want us doing that anymore, so we are going to either have the sport have the students come in during summer and vote on it, or wait until the beginning of school and have a meeting.
Are there any questions regarding expenditures?
We have one more for expenditures.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Advice of encumbrance was not completed in the past. This is a report that goes to the county that verifies that everything that we have sitting encumbrances from July 1 until we finish paying everything off is properly coded in our system. It wasn't being done in the past. We did do it this year, but from our consultants told us we didn't have to send it to anybody.
Which
So,
consultants?
Tyler,
Oh, well,
because Tyler's pilot, so they don't have to.
okay, thank you,
So in the future, we will be sending it to the county for their documentation.
thank you.
Next is procurement. Due diligence was not being completed in the past. So we are currently doing that. It became a partial corrected because we were missing a date on one of our due diligences. So I do make sure when I sign that the other individual has signed and dated for their portion. There were 5 partially completed for information technologies, and I know Chris addressed that in the email that you got, or the listings that you got.
I don't think I got a listing.
Did you? I don't.
It was on the,
This was a,
the status review.
this was a separate email.
It was separate.
But I don't think I got anything from Chris regarding information and technology.
No.
All I got was the one that Krista sent with this.
Oh.
It should have been on that one. It wasn't separate from Chris.
It's on the bottom of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's
Oh,
here. Right here.
oh, is that what you're talking about? Are these here?
Yes.
I thought there was a separate. So this is everything you
They're
sent?
on that list.
Okay, thank you. All right.
And just know with the IT stuff, we are in a unique situation where we have, a third party that does IT for us. So I can say that with Ruth, I've never, in all the years I've been here, have ever had such few IT issues that we've had in the last 2 years. I mean, it's very few. But getting some of this stuff done will take a little bit more time just because we're working with somebody outside the district. I have no concern that it's not getting done. It just may take a little time for us to be able to confidently say it is done. But those are, again, not really related as much into the finance side of it as it could be an issue if those things weren't taken care of. So Chris is working on it and working with Fruits management to make sure all those things are corrected, and we'll give you an update when those are done.
Yep, question.
So would there be a reason why the district did not share with the IT department the results until January 8th of this year? The audit results? Because that is noted on page 2, the last column. It says, this would have been completed prior to now. However, the updated findings from the audit were not shared with the IT department until January 8th, 2024.
Oh, that was my mistake. I had assumed that Chris had gotten a portion of it. So he did email me separately and ask for it, and I did give it to him.
So did these findings go directly to Fruth or just to our internal IT?
These findings went to our internal IT.
And they are communicating then with Fruth, or who's our stopgap here in this process with IT?
So Chris is working now with Fruit to ensure that these things are being done, yes.
And that just started at the beginning of January, Chris?
It was last week. And a lot of the items were in the process of being corrected just based off of the first conversations with the auditors back in October. So we started some of that work, case in point, some of the documentation that they had asked for regarding our contracts, some of our items that we needed in regards to data sharing and so forth, we had started collecting. So some of those are done, not all of them are done. Multi-factor authentication is something that we even talked about even before the audit came up. So those things have been in process. So that's why there's some of those things that are marked as partially and not fully completed.
And these audit findings were not when we were using Fruth, correct? These were all like internal things.
These are from
Correct.
the previous administration in 2022.
Right, and we were not using Fruth at the time.
Now we had an internal director of technology at the time.
Okay, thank you.
But they,
Go ahead.
to clarify though, they weren't corrected even though we were now using Fruth. They were still issues that we hadn't corrected. Correct? Thank you.
Okay. I have a couple questions. There's under credit cards, it was number 3 under credit cards that said it had not been corrected. It says not corrected. The district incurred various fees on its August and September WEX credit card statements, including the finance charges of $121.02 and $671.49 respectively. So obviously, I know you work to get them removed, but if they're not removed, those technically can never be corrected, correct? So in an audit, are they always going to stay as not corrected?
For the fiscal year 24 audit, yes, but fiscal year 25, they will no longer be there.
Okay. So some of these items may never actually be corrected for this particular audit.
Correct.
And will the auditors do any type of other update on this audit?
I don't know. I can reach out to Paula and find out.
Okay, thank you.
Some of the items too will, may show up next year because of, if it happened, say, early in the year when we didn't have a finance director and we didn't have the information from the audit to work from. But if those things do show up again, we would not be back in that status because we've already showed that we've corrected them. So they may show up again, but they wouldn't be as part of being out of compliance because we've already showed that we fixed them once we knew what those issues were and got them corrected, yes.
Can I go back to the
Yeah.
WEX credit card statements?
Yes.
So this list of remaining deficiencies was pulled from our current fiscal year books, correct?
Yes.
So the statement that the finance charges would not be an issue for fiscal year 24.
25.
We're in fiscal year 25 currently.
We're in fiscal year 24 currently.
Right, yeah, we're 24 currently.
24 currently, 25 next year.
So by fiscal year 25, we are telling the public we will no longer be paying finance charges.
Correct.
But for fiscal year 24, if we have another audit, which we will, correct?
Yes.
These will still show up as deficiencies for fiscal year 24.
If WEX is pulled, yes, it will show up as a deficiency.
Are there any other questions regarding the audit and things that have either not been corrected or partially corrected? Okay, hearing none. Thank you for the work that you have done on this. I know it was a lot of work. I know it was under other supervision at the time, that you've had a lot of issues to correct. I do appreciate that. I just look forward to things getting into a better area, that we're not, this is only the second time that, in the time that I can remember, that FHUSD has not been in compliance, that we've actually had the Auditor General come in. You don't always, just because you have an audit, you don't always end up with the Auditor General coming in to visit you.
Correct.
We have an audit every year, but there's a margin, and as long as you fall within that margin, the Auditor General does not step in. So this is the only second time. I think the last time the Auditor General came to visit us was in 2018.
We are lucky enough here, actually, that it's helped set up processes to ensure some of this stuff doesn't happen in the future. So,
Thank you very much for
Thank you.
volunteering your time, Mr. Rudolph.
thank you.
Okay. That completes our information discussion items. Our next meeting on.
Do you have more to go over
Oh,
with
I'm
us?
sorry.
I did.
Okay, because I would like to.
Sorry.
Let's get that back up. I was going to go over not completed now. So the not completed processes are in relation to cash and revenue. So payments submitted were deposited into incorrect amounts and then had to be transferred to another account to be cleared. That is not corrected because we had one additional payment in July that went into our revolving account that has since been corrected on it was an E-rate deposit, so we have contacted E-rate to get that bank account information corrected, so that won't be there moving forward. Bank charges being paid from non-allowable funds. This is in regards to a return check fee from our food service program, so we are researching with Sodexo to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future. And then once we resolve it, we will do a journal to correct where that funding comes from. Student activities, miscellaneous cash and auxiliary operation funds being timely deposited. We did set up a training with our high school, because that's where a lot of our findings were. Got them a process in which to follow moving forward, and we are following up with them on a monthly basis to make sure things happen. So we do see them much more often than we have in the past. So I'm pretty sure that will come off in this fiscal year 24 audit. Property control is in relation to capital assets and stewardship. So now that we have a new warehouse assistant and with Becky, I'm going to pull her in and go over the process for properly tagging items when they get received by warehouse, and then doing an inventory of them so that we can bring all of our documentation up to current. Expenditures.
May I ask a question on that,
Sure.
Alicia? So one of the other deficiencies under property control, talks about the capital asset balance not agreeing. How, I see that up there, so.
That is part of the stewardship and asset items.
Okay.
So that is, again, that's working with Becky to try to get everything that's currently in our system tagged appropriately and set up as an asset in Visions so that we can pull and do inventories.
So we just had some, like, equipment or something in the wrong place? Is that what this basically is saying? Like, it was with the wrong person?
A lot of times it's something that what came in and delivered without the tag. And so what can happen is you lose track of the item. Tag is designed to help with So, again, you know, one of the things that comes up a lot here is consistency of staff, right? Retention of staff. You have now Becky starting in this role. So we're gonna train her, we're gonna get her started, and we hope, you know, obviously she stays for a long time and is successful in the job. But a lot of these things come back to multiple different people's hands on different things, trying to limit that down to just one person for warehouse, one person at each site. And we have started those trainings and have more coming up on how to make sure that those things don't happen any longer.
Does this include the things that are in the classroom and everything too?
Yes.
Okay, because I remember at the end of the year, we had to list everything that's in there
Yeah,
to make sure all the numbers and everything are in. Okay.
Hopefully with the tagging, we'll have some things systematized in a way that makes that easier. We'll just
Well,
have
we do,
it.
we have it, it's just that things sometimes come in and, you know, you could have someone waiting on it, so they quickly deliver it instead of following the process. And you have to wait it out, you have to go through the process, and then get it out to people. But again, having somebody at each site will help, but if you look at just our 4 schools, 3 of those people that will be trained and worked on that are new. Again, at McDowell Mountain, at the high school, and at Little Falcons are all new employees that have come into those roles. So it's really about using Craig and these processes and procedures where we can take to a new employee, here's how we do this, here is the process, here's the procedure, so that even if turnover continues, you can lessen it. But again, a lot of it, I believe, comes back to turnover in the district.
So can you walk me through, like, it says that the reconciliation doesn't agree by almost 50,000. So do we start with the dollar amount that we're saying, or do we have to find what that $50,000 is that we're not agreeing by, or what does that process look like, or just a little bit?
I was actually just talking about this with the auditors today. So we are going to pull a list of all assets more than 50,000 and start with that list. Go and make sure that we locate them, that everything is tagged, and then from there we'll move on to the lower dollar stuff.
Okay.
So next we have expenditures, and this one is due to after the facts. The expenditures are occurring prior to the purchase order being in place. We have set up training with all the sites on what that process looks like moving forward. The site secretaries actually have access now to enter purchase orders in the system, so we have set up training with them on what that looks like. And we are following through with them on a regular basis to make sure that everything's in on time.
We've also asked Tammy, who deals with a lot of this, who's also new this year. But I've talked to her about calling these companies that are taking an order without a purchase order and sending it back to them and saying, we're not taking this, no one ordered it here. And if they did order, they'd have authorization to order it. So where that'll go, I had to talk with, I think it was the Auditor General group about that. And, you know, it's one of those things where you get a coach who, I'm not just picking on coaches here, but I know what happens. They order something, and then it shows up, and they're like, well, I have to pay for this now. I need to be reimbursed for it. Well, that's tough. You can't really do that. So it's really about teaching people patience and understanding that you're not going to get something overnight. It's just, you know, booster clubs sometimes can buy things quicker. You know, that you go to your booster club, but the school's going to purchase it. There's a long process, and you have to know that and take the time to do that. And some of these do come from like tournament fees or something that's due, and they wait till the last minute. We're trying to get them to understand that, again, you're not going to go to that tournament any longer because it wasn't in on time. Okay.
Thank you. And then the credit card and purchasing card finance charges and late charges. We did discuss that, but we are working with, for instance, WEX to take the middleman out of that process. So I have set up so that I receive all billing, and then I forward it immediately to our accounts payable along with our reconciliation report. We do give that report to Becky so that she can reconcile all the receipts that she has, and she does, and she submits it back to us. But we do make sure that that is paid in a timely manner so that we can avoid the late fees and the finance charges on it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So procurement, written determination on anything that is, anytime we use a co-op. So now that we've implemented an electronic requisition process, we are asking that they write in why they're choosing to go with that vendor if they're on a co-op.
I have a question about that. I thought one of the things that co-ops did was provide that for districts sometimes.
We still need to give an explanation of why we're selecting that company. So whether it's because they're provide what we're looking for, or for example, like when you decide which court you want to go with, we're going to have to give a written explanation to why we chose that one, okay? So that is just another piece of our side of things that we need to do.
Is this something that's just been kind of not done in the past? Because it says all 5 purchases reviewed.
Correct.
So were we not doing it for any of our purchases?
It's my
or-
understanding it wasn't happening in the past.
Previous administration didn't believe in procurement.
Well, but then why wouldn't it show as corrected now? Because these would have been ones that they pulled now, or we just didn't implement a process?
We hadn't implemented a process until about October
Of this year?
of this year, when we were training, so.
So fiscal year 2024, in October, is when we implemented a process.
Yeah.
So we'd still have this potentially showing up.
It might potentially show up on the
Got it.
next audit, yeah. Next is the payroll side of it. So there was some documentation missing in the payroll that they pulled, so it could be an I-9, a tax form, a loyalty oath. I know that Kaylee is working with Christy to ensure that this documentation is updated in the system. Since she has started, she makes sure that all of this happens. But they can pull anybody from our entire system. So we're slowly reconciling all of that to make sure that we have all that documentation.
Were we just missing the documentation, or had the things not been completed? Like the background check, investigation form?
No, that's all. Like,
We were just missing documentation.
Okay.
Yeah, we checked, first thing we did when we came in is all certificates, all background, all that stuff was handled back in July 1st, as whatever. We started that right away. So this is more specific things that, should be in the file that are not. I know we have very strict, Kaylee knows the expectations before we hire.
I have a question on that. Kaylee, so we used to be just a paper district. How, are we 50/50 now? Are we more electronic?
So I make all new hires do everything electronic, and then I print all that out, put it in a file, and then refile it. So I went through our file room during the auditors coming, and I audited every single employee we have, all past employees. Kristen and I are working on the I-9. That's the one that we got hit on, was people had either an I-9, and they didn't have an ID, or we had their ID copy and didn't have their I-9. So that's what that it is, but everybody since we've hired, from August of 22 till now, we've had no issues.
So what about previous employees, though? Have we uploaded their documents electronically?
Yeah, I had all paper for them.
They're all paper.
And then, for the one employee who needed the I-9 filled out, I had her do it electronically, but I print off everything. So we have them both for all new employees, and then old employees, we're slowly transitioning to.
Thank you.
Okay, next is student attendance. So the one finding that was still an issue was that there was not an FTE enrollment statement for online students. The auditors couldn't give us any direction on what that actually looked like, but they did ask us to contact ADE since it is an ADE requirement. Angie is contacting them to find out what the expectation is so that we can make sure that our documentation has that moving forward.
Can we receive a follow-up on that once we figure out
Absolutely.
what that looks like?
Mhm. And then transportation support is in regards to the Tran 55 reports that is submitted to the state. In the past, I think the fiscal year 22, John said he had fat fingers. and that's why it was an issue. When the auditors came in to verify the information, he had used one number, when the Trend 55 actually requests that you do a random 25 days.
Yep.
So moving forward, I am going to verify that information before he submits it so that we know for a fact it's being submitted correctly. And then there were the 3 additional not corrected findings for information technology.
Can we get a copy of your PowerPoint?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that way we have it in our email.
Okay.
Thank you, Alicia.
You're welcome. We did have one additional finding show up on our report. This is due to student activity receiving and processing. So when money was being delivered, it wasn't being locked up. It was actually sitting in an office. She would lock the person would lock the office, but she did not have the money sitting in the safe. So that has since been corrected. The tickets were not being held at district office. They were actually held at the site. So we have received them. We reached out to Evelyn and got her to deliver the box of tickets. So those are currently locked up. And then the ticket takers were not verifying the signing or the count at the end of the night, at the end of the shift. And money was not being received in a timely manner. We are correcting this starting next year. We are no longer going to accept cash on sites. I'm actually working with Evelyn to do an electronic version. I know AIA has a system that they purchase through. The other option for us is doing season passes.
So we've got several things. We're gonna do season pass. We're gonna have GoFan as an option for guests that are used to that. That's the AIA version. And then we're also going to have a tappable debit card type thing so that you don't have someone that doesn't have a smartphone that can't get into the game and and only has cash. So we want to give it multiple options to work on it. Why we're doing we just there's no point in doing cash anymore. So again, these are employees who are picking up a shift. A teacher, a counselor, a para, whoever, and it's a lot of work that goes into it to have cash, and I just don't think it's necessary. So we have a few games left of basketball season, so we've implemented new procedures to get through the rest of basketball and soccer season, and then we will spring sports don't have any fees, that there's no tickets needed. So starting in August, we'll no longer take cash. That's an easy fix.
And even though we're not taking cash, are there still tickets? Like, are we still going to need a process to have a ticket count?
I don't believe, because I think the system will monitor all that, but we will verify before we finalize exactly what we do. But I can tell you that most districts have gone to GoFan, and I've never received a ticket at any event that I've gone to at GoFan. I think it's all done electronically.
Mine's always been electronic
Yes.
too. Okay. Are there any other questions, Alicia?
Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you. Okay. Future action, the budget discussion is scheduled for February 7th. Krista has confirmed with Taylor that he will be here. So we will start our budget discussion. And then our meeting after that will be February 21st, both at 6 o'clock here in the Learning Center.
When will we be able to bring up the textbook for human geography?
It has not come back yet, so I don't have a date.
I move we adjourn. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I reviewed it, I gave it back.
Okay.
What? The,
The human
oh, I already did, yeah, a while back, yeah.